Now your local news.
Straight ahead tonight on News 13 at 11, a little 2-year-old child drowned tonight in Horry County. You'll find out more coming up. You'll also find out why fewer people are writing bad checks in one local county, or so some say. Don says there's a brand new tropical storm out there tonight. He has the numbers. And you'll find out how a registered sex offender recently taught swimming lessons here in the Eastern Carolinas and what parents are saying about it.
This is WBTW News 13 at 11.
And a good evening to you in Myrtle Beach. I'm Bob Schuback.
And I'm Martha Hunt. Thank you for joining us. Since 6, there was a drowning in Horry County. Deputy Coroner Dan Bellamy says a 2-year-old child drowned in this small pond. It's off Highway 501 near Conway. The child was taken to the Conway emergency room and was pronounced dead shortly after 6 o'clock. Horry County police say that they're investigating. It's been more than a year since Horry County solicitor went to bat for merchants with something called the Worthless Check Program.
And as News 13's Tyler Pearson reports tonight, new at 11, that program is already paying off big for some store owners.
We'd probably average 10 or 12 a week in the past.
Jerry Housen owns the Sureway convenience store in Conway. Over the past 30 years, he's seen lots of checks, and some of them weren't worth the paper they were printed on.
95% of the ones that write checks are good checks. It's just that little 5% that you have the problem with.
But over the past year, that number has dropped even more. He says now he's down to 2 or 3 a week, and that's money in his pocket. Merchants can now go straight to the solicitor to collect on bad checks. That cuts out time in court.
When you have to take time off, go to magistrate's court, do all this, send a 10-day letter, it's just time consuming.
Thank you. Thank you.
Housen says people are scared to give out bad checks because they end up paying more than they bargained for. He says with all the penalty fees, a $5 purchase could easily become $100.
If they decide to go out on the weekend and they say, hey, I'm going to write me a check for $50, $60, and it's going to cost them big time.
Because Housen isn't letting anyone off easy. In Conway, Tyler Pearson, News 13.
And store owners say right now they'll be compensated in about 30 to 45 days, and they say that's a lot faster than the old system.
An Horry County woman pled guilty this morning to unlawful neglect of a child. Officials say 25-year-old Stacy Stull admitted to a judge she knew something was wrong with her baby but didn't do anything about it for weeks. In March of 2003, doctors diagnosed Stull's baby with shaken baby syndrome. The baby is legally blind as a result. The judge sentenced Stull to 8 years in prison for her crime. Stull's boyfriend, Colin Ruppin, was sentenced to 12 years in prison last year.
Horrible story here, and here's something that would scare parents anywhere, and it apparently happened right here in our area.
Yes, News 13's Tasha Oxendine reports tonight. Some parents want to know how a registered sex offender was allowed to teach their children in a summer swim program.
Chastity Carter says when she put her 3-year-old son Noah in swim class at UNC Pembroke, she didn't question anything about the instructors. This computer page made her think twice. One of her son's instructors, William Sequoia Carter, is a registered sex offender in North Carolina.
I was very upset with the university not doing the background check on the individual. I'm not accusing him of anything because I was there the whole time. It's just the fact that, he was, very close with my son.
Chastity Carter says her sister lives near the university and she recognized the instructor's picture last week after realizing there was a registered sex offender in her neighborhood. Carter contacted the university the next day. Donna Gooden Payne, the university counsel at UNC Pembroke, says William Carter was separated from employment last Friday and he is no longer with the university. Payne says the swim school has at least 2 swim instructors in the area at all times, plus parents. Chastity Carter says with recent abductions around the country, parents can't be too safe.
I think anyone working with children definitely needs a background check. Most definitely, they do.
Carter says her son learned some basics, but she learned it never hurts to do your homework concerning your children. In Pembroke, Tasha Oxendine, News 13.
In 1999, William Carter was convicted of indecent liberties with a minor. UNCP Athletic Director Dan Kenny says, quote, there have been absolutely no allegations of inappropriate action by any person working with the swim school, end quote.
On the Crime Tracker tonight, an update to a story News 13 brought you first last night. A Florence County Sheriff's deputy shot a suspect and killed the man who was suspected in another shooting. Sheriff Kenny Boone says George Hurst shot his stepson during an argument at a home off Alligator Road. The sheriff says Deputy Richard Fields then chased Hurst back to Hurst home on Manning Street, which is off Pamplico Highway. Investigators say that Hurst pulled a gun, but that Deputy Fields shot first, hitting and killing Hurst.
Go and put that uniform on and get in the car. You never know, what might happen. And that's the thing in a situation like this is make a decision, very, split-second decision making, and it's tough on these officers.
As is customary in cases like this involving a law enforcement officer, SLED is investigating and Deputy Fields is under paid administrative leave. There is some good news to this tonight. Sheriff Boone says the deputy was not injured. Martha?
Florence County Sheriff's deputies investigate another convenience store robbery that ended with a customer shot. It happened early Saturday morning at the Pilot Travel Center at Highway 52 and 995. A sheriff spokesman says 2 men entered the store, demanded money, and shot a customer. Investigators say the victim was treated and released from the hospital. The 2 robbers got into a car. A 3rd guy drove it away. Investigators say they will try to determine if these bandits are responsible for several robberies in the area. You may remember a holdup at the Petro on TV Road last week. 3 people were shot then, but all will recover. Investigators have ruled a fire at the Crown Reef Hotel was an accident. Officials say the fire broke out Sunday morning in a room on 10th Avenue on the 10th floor because of a bag of materials that was left on the stove. Parts of the hotel were evacuated. Firefighters had the flames under control in about 20 minutes and guests were allowed to return. Investigators say 1 room was badly damaged while the adjoining rooms received minor water damage.
Well, some people in Georgetown say their city waters are polluted with abandoned boats. About half a dozen boats sit in the Georgetown harbor. They're docked just off of Goat Island, and many have been there for decades now. And a lot of them are rotting, they're rusty, and some have even sprouted trees and bushes. City Councilman Paige Sawyer wants the city to pass an ordinance banning those boats. He says not only are they an eyesore, but they are a hazard.
If they were to break loose during a storm, they could cause immeasurable damage, not only to another boat, to private property, to the boardwalk, and, who's responsible?
So he wants them out of there. Now, Beaufort County and Beaufort City created similar ordinances several years ago. They prohibit owners from abandoning their boats. Well, time right now for your first weather forecast.
And Don, there's a lot to talk about tonight.
Absolutely. We also have our first, well, not our first, but our 5th tropical storm of the season so far. It ought to be our first this time of year, but it's unfortunately our 5th. There you see Tropical Storm Emily down in the center bottom of your picture there. Just named the tropical storm with this advisory that came out at 11 o'clock. It's expected to move into the Caribbean and become a hurricane as we go through the next several days. We'll have much more on Emily coming up in just a few minutes. Right now, Storm Tracker 13 exclusive live Doppler radar showing a quiet picture across the PD and the Grand Strand, so there's some good news for you. Your forecast for overnight tonight calls for partly cloudy skies. Low temperature around 74 on the inland side and 77 on the beaches. For tomorrow and Wednesday, 86 and 87 high temperatures on the beaches. On the inland side, 89 to 90. Bob and Martha, I'm sure those folks in Florida would wish it was our first tropical storm of the season, but again, it's our 5th, and its name is Emily.
Okay, thank you, Don. Well, Hurricane Dennis, of course, is gone, but memories of him will last a long time there on the Gulf Coast of Florida.
Yeah, it's yet another blow to a region and to a state that has been pummeled by storm after storm after storm. Drew Levinson has more tonight from the Florida Panhandle.
As Dennis makes his way across the southeast in the Ohio River Valley, he's losing steam, but still causing quite a mess. Dennis churned up the middle part of Georgia Monday, dumping several inches of rain, toppling trees and forcing hundreds of residents to evacuate their homes. But that wasn't nearly as bad as the damage Dennis caused along Florida's Panhandle, especially in hard-hit Navarre Beach. Parts of the roads are washed away, and a fire station is in ruins. Trees are down, power is out, and it could remain that way for weeks.
The ridge vent is gone, Mike.
Seal Holly considers herself lucky. 10 months ago, sand and water were inside her home. This time, she just lost a little siding and a mailbox.
And the fact that the hurricane went through so quickly, it didn't have time to destroy a lot of the stuff that Ivan had to destroy.
Much of what Ivan destroyed sits inside these giant dumpsters. What's on top? Well, that's from Dennis. Who knew these things would still be here when another hurricane came calling? In the past year, 5 hurricanes have scratched and clawed their way across Florida. The term federal disaster area has almost become synonymous with this state.
We've learned from our lessons of last year and the years before, and we're prepared to provide relief.
Those lessons included making sure thousands of National Guard troops and police officers were deployed on both sides of the hurricane's path. Fortunately, Dennis never lived up to the worst predictions, but it has left more than $1 billion in damage, And officials worry this may have been a dress rehearsal of what's ahead this hurricane season. Drew Levinson, CBS News, Navarre, Florida.
Prime Minister Tony Blair says those responsible for last week's bombings in London will be identified and brought to justice. Blair told Britain's House of Commons that most likely Islamic extremists are responsible. Blair called the attacks murderous carnage of the innocent. In his speech, Blair also said there was no intelligence available that could have prevented the attacks. Meanwhile, a mother of two is the first person identified as a victim of London's terrorist bombings. Officials now say at least 52 people died. The U.S. State Department says one American citizen is missing and is thought to be among the dead. 2 other Americans are still hospitalized with injuries, and 2 more who were injured were released last week.
Once again, a new tropical storm out there. A detailed look at the tropics is on the way in just a few minutes with Don.
And it was going, gone. The 2005 Home Run Derby was held in Detroit tonight. You'll see who won later in sports.
And Cecil is on both sides of the camera tonight. You'll see what develops when News 13 at 11 continues.
En Estados Unidos, millones de familias confían en Ford, Lincoln y Mercury, sus autos, camionetas y SUVs. Ahora mismo, Ford Motor Company te invita a que te unas a nuestra familia y pagues el mismo bajo precio que pagan nuestros empleados y sus familias. Presentamos el plan familiar de Ford. Hasta el 1 de agosto recibe el descuento en cada vehículo Ford, Lincoln y Mercury en los concesionarios participantes. Sin problemas, sin engaños, de la familia Ford a la tuya. Bienvenido.
Ready for school? Good thing Walmart's got everything you need for back to school at a great price. So you can get your kids off to the right start.
Later.
For coverage you can count on, it's the News 13 Network, TV, radio, and now in print with the newspapers of the Carolina Publishing Group. Wherever you live, the News 13 Network.
You're watching News 13 at 11, and photographers have always done amazing things with their equipment.
But these days, the things they're doing are truly magical, and Cecil has proof tonight in Georgetown.
Girl, let's do that again.
What's in a picture? What you see is what you get. Well, that's not exactly true anymore. Georgetown photographer Paige Sawyer has been taking pictures for 31 years. He says photography technology has changed. Now people want their photos to look better, so they request a photo touch-up.
Especially when they get our age, the wrinkles, the laugh lines, the blemishes, they start showing and people want those retouched. Teenagers, high school seniors, college kids, the blemishes, the acne, all that needs to be retouched.
It's amazing how a photo can be changed to make the subject look better. You can remove unwanted bags from under your eyes and make your face look slimmer through the magic of photography.
The old damaged photographs that have worn out, been creased, been damaged in a flood or a fire, we cannot restore the actual photograph, but we can copy that and do the restoration on the copy. So yes, old damaged photographs can be restored.
Torn and damaged photos, hundreds of years old, can now be restored.
Okay, in this family group photograph here, the mother liked the smiles of her husband and 2 sons in this particular photograph, but she did not like her smile. So we took her smile, her head, off of this photograph and placed it on the one where she liked the smiles of her husband and sons, and you can see everybody's happy, everybody has a good smile, she's happy, we're happy.
Paige says no matter how much a picture is damaged, it can be restored to a certain degree. And for touch-ups, even a reporter has to have a little help once in a while.
What I need is something taken off here. Can you do that?
Cecil, no problems.
All right, let's take the picture. When he finishes, I'm going to look a lot better. On the road with Cecil's World, with Paige Sawyer Photography in Georgetown, I'm Cecil Chandler.
Did Cecil say a little bit off here?
No, we need to see that picture.
Yeah.
Well, Don, the talk on the street are these storms.
Oh, absolutely. The hurricane season off to a very, very busy season across the tropical Atlantic. And, of course, we do have that brand new tropical storm, Emily, to talk about. We'll do that and check out our own forecast coming up after the break.
At Suncom, they really listen to their customers. You asked for it, and here it is.
The whole country's in your hands. Introducing the new Suncom America plan. Call anywhere, everywhere, all across America on the Suncom America network with no roaming charges. 900 minutes are only $65 a month. All taxes and fees included. Only at Suncom.
Suncom brings you truth in wireless.
We're Suncom, and we get it.
Foundation failure can ruin the value of your home. Movement underneath the home's foundation, plumbing leaks, and soft soil can lead to serious problems. You may notice cracks in your brick, a chimney pulling away, cracks in the sheetrock, or doors and windows that won't open and close. Ramjack has over 30 years of experience repairing failing foundations. We'll install our patented deep-driven steel piers and accompany our work with a lifetime transferable warranty. Rely on Ramjack. Call today for a free estimate and evaluation.
We're here on location in Bishopville, South Carolina with the lottery's newest commercial production.
Scene 1, take 12. Action!
It's just plain fun to play.
Cut! Cut!
Man, I was perfect. This is it, our big break. Follow me. Get the control room. We're going live.
Play Palmetto Cash 5 and expect the unexpected.
And now, Storm Tracker 13 weather.
And welcome back. A muggy night indeed across the Grand Strand and the PD, but at least temperatures aren't all that bad. Right now, most folks are sitting in the upper 70s, and will fall just a couple more degrees overnight tonight in the beaches, low around 77, lows in the inland side around 74. Still a slim chance of a shower overnight tonight, but they're going to be very few and far between in this part of the Carolinas. During the day tomorrow and Wednesday, a better chance we'll see a scattered storm or two pop up, especially as you're used to in the afternoon and evening hours. High temperature 86 on the beaches, 89 or 90 across the PD. So hot, but not unusually hot for this time of year across our part of the states. There you can see that band of showers that was pretty active back at 6 o'clock. It's fizzled quite a bit. As expected, it's not quite going to make it here, so we just have the outside chance of a shower overnight tonight. The main spin back here with what's left of Dennis, of course, staying way to our west. And that's good news because that's going to be flooding problems over the next several days across parts of the Ohio Valley. There you see a closer look at that band of showers and storms. Remember, back at 6 o'clock, it was just about to cross the river. Well, it made it across the river into South Carolina from Georgia, but after that, it faded quickly with sunset, and now just a drop or two of rain across the eastern Carolinas. Most folks sitting high and dry. In fact, Storm Tracker 13 exclusive live Doppler radar shows things are looking nice and quiet all across the Grand Strand and the PD. Clean scan up and down the Grand Strand beaches. Same story across the PD. Our counties in North Carolina also looking nice. Just a sliver of a chance of a shower overnight tonight. Well, let's go back to the maps and check out the numbers. 82 degrees our current temperature right now in Myrtle Beach. South winds at 12. Humidity, though, sky high, 85%. So real steamy, muggy feel to the air out there. 78 in Florence, but humidity 90%. South winds at 3. And in Lumberton right now, 78. And the humidity, again, at 90%. Well, here's your future track forecast taking you through tonight, tomorrow, and also right into Wednesday. Here, of course, is what's left of Dennis. Just a tropical low-pressure area spinning its wheels out here and dropping plenty of rain. We'll go ahead and put the clock in motion and show you over time this little low. The leftovers of Dennis goes just about nowhere in any big hurry. Overnight tonight, during the day tomorrow, and for that matter right through Wednesday, just a slight eastward drift to it. That will keep us in a tropical flow of air up from the south, keeping our humidity high, but the focal point for the rain will stay back here near the low pressure system, and that means we'll avoid the flooding rains, of course, but we'll have the scattered afternoon storm possible each afternoon and evening. There you can see into Wednesday, this just plodding ever so slowly onto the east, so folks along the Ohio River perhaps in for some trouble with flooding rains as we go through mid and late week. Speaking of flooding rains, we're watching the tropics for the next system, and there you can see we do have one down here that has become a tropical storm. It is Tropical Storm Emily. By the way, right behind it, another system that could eventually develop, if it does turn into a tropical storm, it would be Franklin. But Emily is the one of concern right now, so let's go do a closer look and show you what it looks like. There you see it moving along off to the west, and as it travels on to the west, it's expected to intensify. If you're plotting the storm, right now the coordinates 11.3 north, 47.0 west. Winds are 45 miles per hour. But as we go forward in time, the system should become a stronger tropical storm and eventually a hurricane as it crosses into the Caribbean. As we go on toward Thursday and Friday, Well, there you see it. Winds 100 miles per hour. Again on Saturday, 100 miles per hour. It could be stronger if it doesn't actually interact with some of these big islands in the Caribbean. If it stays entirely over water, it could actually become a major hurricane by this weekend. Here's your forecast back at home, though. Not too bad. A passing shower, also some patchy fog overnight tonight. Low temperatures 74 to 77. During the day tomorrow, partly cloudy and humid. A chance of an afternoon storm. High temperatures 86 at the beach and 89 across the PD. South but light winds during the day tomorrow on the beaches. The surf temperature at 84. And your 7-day forecast calls for a storm or two each afternoon for tomorrow and Wednesday. And a chance of an afternoon storm each day right through your weekend into early next week. Highs will be in the upper 80s, nighttime lows, mid and upper 70s. And on the inland side, most days right around 90, perhaps some low 90s as we go into next week. Nighttime lows in the low to mid 70s. So again, Emily expected to become a hurricane in the next couple of days. Right now, though, it's just a new tropical storm with winds of 45 miles per hour.
And I know this forecasting is a little bit uncertain still, Don, but I'll tell you what, the forecasters had Dennis pegged about 5 days out. It went exactly where they thought.
You're exactly right. They had it right into Pensacola and the Florida Panhandle 5 days out, and it turned out that's exactly what happened. You know, over the past few years, the track forecasting has been phenomenal, and we still have trouble with the intensity forecasting, but that track forecasting is getting better and better, and that's, of course, also resulting in better evacuations, too, so it has a big payoff.
Yeah, it was amazingly accurate. Okay, thank you very much, Don. Well, ground was broken this afternoon for a big new addition at the Burns Schools in Florence County. The school is in the second of 3 phases for improvements, and the second phase consists of renovations and construction of the main building, building a central gazebo, renovations of the middle school classrooms and hallways, also new restrooms and new locker rooms and a weightlifting facility in the gym. During today's ceremony, the 1960-style honeycomb entranceways to the lower and the upper schools were knocked down. I saw Kevin Barth there with a sledgehammer. The Burns Schools is an independent college preparatory school with 300 students in grades 3K to 12.
Good way to work out your frustration.
I think so, too, and also knock the building down at the same time.
Some other slinging was going on. Who's the greatest slugger in the game today? Up next, Rick has highlights in this year's Major League Baseball Home Run Derby.
Plus, the Pelicans try to roll the Blue Rocks of Wilmington. Those pictures next, right after you look at this.
Tuesday at 6 and 11.
Backing out of a driveway can appear simple, but in an SUV, it can be deadly.
Most families own an SUV or minivan, but each year, 120 deaths occur when a child is backed over by a family vehicle. Count on News 13 for valuable safety tips, and we'll show you new technology available to keep your family safe.
Realize that there is a risk and take the proper precautions.
Blind Spots, Tuesday at 6 and 11 on News 13. And now, Sports 13.
Well, it's a day of rest for the major leaguers, but not for your Myrtle Beach Pelicans. Tonight, the Birds continue their series with the Wilmington Blue Rocks. Out to the ballpark, a big week for Myrtle Beach catcher Jared Saltalamacchia. Salty getting married tomorrow. Bet you he's going to sleep well tonight. This guy not invited to the reception. Wilmington's Dusty Brown drives in a run, 6-run sixth for the Blue Rocks. Myrtle Beach trying to come back. It's Jaime Trejo driving a run in, but too much Wilmington. On Salty's last night of freedom, Wilmington wins at 10-5. Pelicans, by the way, off tomorrow. Major League Baseball at the All-Star break. We have the Home Run Derby tonight. The Braves' Andruw Jones, one of 8 major leaguers competing, hits 5 in the first round, but he does not advance to the semifinals. This guy does, and more. Bobby Abreu from the Phillies, a Home Run Derby record, 24 homers in the first round alone. Abreu goes on to defeat Detroit's Ivan Pudge Rodriguez in the final. Bobby Abreu from the Phillies, your 2005 Home Run Derby champion. The big game tomorrow night from Detroit. Major League Baseball All-Star starters are in. The National League will send Chris Carpenter of the Cardinals to the mound. Carpenter has 13 wins for the division-leading Cards. Oh, by the way, Carpenter's manager, Tony La Russa, managing the National League All-Stars tomorrow. And Mark Burley from the Chicago White Sox takes the hill for the AL. White Sox right now, far and away, best team in the American League. Meanwhile, Texas Rangers pitcher Kenny Rogers, you remember the same Mr. Rogers who welcomed 2 news photogs to his neighborhood. He says he'll pitch in tomorrow's All-Star game. His 20-game suspension is under appeal. The Bowl Championship Series will use a new pole in 2005. called the Harris Interactive Poll. It combines the votes from writers and former coaches and players. First poll comes out 1 month into the season, so I give them credit for that. The BCS, however, will still use the coaches poll and computer rankings. And another former Tar Heel signs his first NBA contract. I think Juback was right. That was traveling. Today, the Minnesota Timberwolves ink up Rashad McCants. The Wolves picked McCants 14th overall in last month's draft, and he'll play for SOTA in the team's summer league. Dale Earnhardt Jr. has some work to do, but yesterday's win in Chicago helps. He now has a 3rd and 1st in his last 2 races, but he's 91 points out of the chase for the championship. With 8 races left before the real chase begins, both Earnhardt Jr. and Jeff Gordon on the outside looking in. How about that? Juback, you're the guy I look to for all the tips when it comes to marriage, so any advice for Salty on his last night of freedom?
Anything I would say would probably be very incriminating against me, so I'm not going to say anything.
All right, well, good luck to him tomorrow.
I have advice.
Advice. Go ahead.
Just love your wife. Take good care of her.
That's the best advice you can give. Juback, you're out of the mix now. I'm coming to Martha with all the advice.
I showed you up there. Your final forecast of the night is on the way with Don.
And also, take a look at this fella. He has jumped something in a way that no one has ever done. You'll find out what he did and also how he did it when News 13 at 11 continues.
Hi.
One more level and I'm there.
I can't believe you're breaking up with me. I'm gonna go.
Works every time.
Dinner time is back. Bring them to the table with the unique home-style taste of original recipe. Hand-floured in a secret blend of 11 herbs and spices and fried to golden perfection. Right now, get 10 pieces for $8.99. Add the fixins to make it a meal. Bring back dinner at KFC.
Skateboarder Danny Way has rolled his way into history. He's the first person to jump across the Great Wall of China without any motorized aid. He rolled down a massive ramp at nearly 50 miles per hour to perform the stunt, and he blew the first landing. But he made the next 3 tries, even adding some 360-degree spins. Little flourishes at the end there.
Better he than I on that one.
No kidding.
All right, Don, how does it look in the morning?
For tomorrow morning, a muggy start to your day. Will stay warm and humid all day today, or all day tomorrow, I should say. A passing shower possible overnight. Low temperatures around 74 inland, 77 on the beach. There's your steamy day for tomorrow, but temperatures themselves not all that bad. 86 degrees on the beach, close to 90 across the PD.
All right, thank you so much, Don. And that does it for this edition of News 13 at 11. Thank you for watching.
Late Show with David Letterman's coming up next. Have a great night. Keep it right here on WBTW, and we'll see you tomorrow.
Here in the